Here we go again, back into the paper time machine, needle dropping onto November of 1930, with the Arena, Volume 3, Number 2, and letting the ink tell the story. Page 1 greets us with a cover montage that's pure, compact electricity. The names jump like cornerman shouts: Midget Wolgast, Frankie Hinaro, Strangler Lewis, and Justo Suarez, telegraphing the 4 lanes this issue will sprint down. Flyweights at war, a heavyweight of headlocks, and a South American comet blasting through the summer fight schedule. Page 2 opens with a flex a man without a weak spot, a Sigmund Klein showpiece for progressive adjustable barbells, the copy crowning Klein as symmetry incarnate, and selling the idea that graded resistance plus discipline equals that classical, camera-ready physique. Page 3 continues the physical culture sermon in broad strokes. Don't sneer at the peppy pugilist or the real manly fellow. Be one, and sets the magazine's house tone sport not just as spectacle, but as a program for building yourself into something tougher and truer. Page 4 pins the masthead and date to the wall. 2741 North Palathorpe Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, November the 1930, before swinging straight into the feature promise, Strangler Lewis, greatest of them all. Page 5 executes a hard swerve into the era's most famous confidence ad, the classic, "They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play." Recounted with theater, the silk handkerchief, the Paderewski turn on the stool, the heckle from the back, and the punchline cadence that sold 1 million mail-order music lessons. Page 6 keeps the commerce flowing. The supreme accomplishment, and an elastic band exerciser course post-paid, a reminder that every page turn in this period is equal parts training hall and carnival barker. Pages 7 through 9 deliver the issue's tentpole, Strangler Lewis, greatest of them all, by Jim Barrett. The portrait is of permanence, Lewis as the last oak of an older forest, Caddick, Stecker, Zbyszko, built like a blueprint, still a real contender while contemporaries fade. Barrett dissects the headlock as anatomy and engineering, forearm driven between cheekbone and chin, lateral pressure torquing the jaw, the upward lift twisting the neck, then reveals Lewis's wooden practice dummy, split and rejoined by a steel spring, a craftsman's jig for perfecting punishment. We get the education arc, Kentucky State, coaching football, basketball, and wrestling, and the mark on the timeline brag, his 1917 win over Stanislaus Zbyszko, the mighty Pole who had never lost one bout in 942, plus the modern collision with Gus Sonnenberg's diving tackle. The Sonnenberg saga gets the full forensic treatment. First match solved by sidestep encounters, the infamous rematch with the long count flavor, motion picture houses rerunning the dive, Sandow quibbling about rope returns and corners, and Lewis, ever the sportsman, calling the dive legal, and Sonnenberg a real wrestler while demanding a decider before one of the largest gates. Pages 10 and 11 change gloves and countries, but keep the stakes. Is Stribling at the top at last? By Mike Grebe. Fresh off a London masterclass where his left hook bounced Phil Scott for counts of 5, 7, and 9, young Stribling is presented as a metronome of improvement and durability, a man with more knockouts than Cheney's fame total, never once stopped, and sharpened against Slattery, Lofren, Sharkey, Carnera, Von Porat, and Scott. Grebe relitigates the Berlenbach slump narrative only to counterpunch with the Stribling family's vaudeville honed conditioning, the consistency of work, and the strategic, quietly relentless rebuild that led to that clean London dismantling. Pages 12 and 13 stir the wrestling pot again. Who is the Real Wrestling Champ? By Marvin Williams, a sharp, knowing essay that keeps one eye on the mat and one eye on the box office. Williams acknowledges the Crown Math Lundos throws Kalza, Shikot beats Dusek, but argues that a new man may be needed to be the champion of legitimacy, not just the business cycle. He sketches the heavyweight must-haves, over 200 pounds, second nature mastery of every hold, genuine power, and then circles the Sonnenberg question. If Gus is great, why hasn't he mixed with Lundos, Shikot, and Dusek? If the trio is the cream, why no settlement with Sonnenberg? The conclusion is honest and maddening. The best 4 need to meet. Until they do, something fishy hovers over the lineage. Pages 14 and 15 pivot to ring arithmetic, a championship lost on misses by Charles Berman. Here, Tommy Freeman takes the welterweight crown from young Jack Thompson, not by bludgeon but by absence. Thompson's punches never quite landing. The write-up contrast punched groggy with a lost on blows that never landed, credits Freeman's clean, jab-first efficiency, and wonders aloud whether Jackie Fields, freshly dethroned months earlier, has a style advantage against the new man that could turn the belt again. Pages 16 and 17 trumpet Justo Suarez, Conqueror of Glick and Flowers by Herbert Nagler. The Little Wild Bull of the Pampas is introduced with dates and damage, July 17th on the Singer Mendel card, Joe Glick undone. August 19th, Bruce Flowers counted and stopped for the first time. And then with origin story, a boy from Buenos Aires Matadero, Little Chicago, cleaning cattle entrails for $1.50 a month, killing cattle at 18 for $15 a day, learning ferocity and timing in a slaughterhouse before turning it on the world's lightweights. The piece notes the diplomatic visa whisper around his arrival, his challenge posture toward Al Singer and Jack Berg, and pins him as a champion of South America and Williamsburg after those emphatic New York nights. Page 17 also tees up a new heavyweight thread with a bold subhead, He Is Still Good, by Rolf Garrett, pointing straight at the Cleveland Baker boy, Johnny Risko. Pages 18 and 19 set up the flyweight unification we all want. Frankie Henaro, Midget Wolges, by Casper H. Nan. The situation is meticulously mapped. Henaro recognized everywhere except New York and Pennsylvania, Wolgas backed by those two state commissions, a mid-October showdown to crown one true champion. Nane rewinds Henaro's reel, Olympic flyweight champion in 1920, judges calling him the best boxer they'd seen across divisions. A pro campaign built on activity and courage. The title win over Pancho Villa in what's described as one of the great little man fights, and the later loss to Fidel La Barba on the coast. The case is even-handed. Both Henaro and Wolgast are the cream of the crop, and the bout promises to end the split title mess cleanly. Pages 20 and 21 are pure ring scripture. Joe Gans versus Bat Nelson, the epic of the lightweights by an old fan, soaking in the September 3rd, 1906 Goldfield Marathon. 42 rounds of endurance and craft, Gans always the master, Nelson always drilling forward, betting swinging from 10-7 to 2-1 to 3-1 on the old master. As the rounds pile up, the women in the bleachers shrieking, some staying to the bloody end, some leaving early. The piece is a defense brief for Gans's genius, no knockout, but dominance by clean science, the victory as decisive as a stop. Pages 22 and 23 bring the spotlight back to Risko, Hard Luck Johnny Risko, by Rolf Garrett, spelling out the near misses and wrong turns. A man whose loss to Schmeling after 4 knockdowns made the Germans reign in cratered Cleveland stock, who beat Campolo and Paulino to roar back, who had earned that Tunney shot in 1928, but watched a foreign-flavored Tom Heaney get the nod for international touch. Garrett strips the alibis and rebuilds the case. If Risko's form recoheres, he's still a danger in any elimination. Pages 24 and 25 detour into personality and provenance. Ted Sandwina, Cradled in a Circus, by Hardwin Ferrand. It's a rich yarn. The son of Kate Sandwina, famed world's strongest woman, godchild of Theodore Roosevelt, born to the Ringling Tents, a quiet man who can box with anyone, punch like a pile driver, and yet never quite find color. The centerpiece anecdote is Circus Gold. Sandwina knocks out Todd in 5. Ma Todd jawing from her corner, Ma Sandwina jawing back from hers, and then stepping over to blast Ma Todd clean to the turf. The family's second knockout of the night in the same arena. Ferrand doubts Teddy beats Schmeling, but concedes Germany would sell tickets around him all day. Pages 26 and 35, Braid, Too Slow to Catch the Crown, by our observer, a study of Charlie White, the brilliant, beloved lightweight who met everybody and fell short, not for lack of chin or punch, but because his thinking was a half-beat slow. The Benton Harbor 1920 memory is stinging. White floors, Benny Leonard for 9, but Leonard's reflexes and ring brain flip the script. Proof that in title fights, speed of mind is a weapon all its own. Page 27 turns the lamp on a fresh face. Frankie Campbell, a Pittston, Pennsylvania coal miner heavyweight, kin to the same basin that produced Pete Latzo. The piece ticks off recent scalps, Jack Gagnon among them, notes 30 bouts with a knockout ratio around 2/3, and frames Cauley as one of those bone and muscle regionals now testing the wider map. Pages 28 through 30 offer one of the issue's sharpest technical essays, The Snap That Counts. It dismantles the myth of the slow push-punching longshoreman and lumberjack, and then rebuilds punching power as timing, coordination, and suddenness. A 6-inch shock delivered while the opponent is coming in, with legs and back behind the strike, hits harder than a 6-foot haymaker. Jack Dempsey is the good example. Work strength married to whip, and Primo Carnera, the caution. Massive musculature without the matching snap. The article roams beyond the ring to prove its thesis with iron. Charles Rigoulot flinging 254 pounds one-handed overhead, arguing that the same fast total body coordination that pops a short right hand is what lets a lifter sit under a rising bell and lock it out in the blink of an eye. Pages 31 to 33 are Harry Mann's short jabs, a breezy, bristling column that ping-pongs from the America's Cup. Enterprise versus Shamrock 5, Sir Thomas Lipton's likely last try. To baseball's arithmetic, Hack Wilson leapfrogging the Babe season mark, big league ball budgets and balls lost in the stands, and back to fight news. Justo Suarez flattening Bruce Flowers in 6, George Godfrey thumping Arthur Decoux in 4, Tony Canzaneri outpointing Goldie Hess but dulling his title chase shine, and then a somber necessary reckoning. The Max Baer Frankie Campbell tragedy. Mann notes Baer's borderline shot in round 2. The 5th round finishing volley before the referee moved. Campbell's death the following morning, and spreads the blame onto the system that okayed the match more than the men trapped inside its moment. Page 34 plants the editorial flag. Real purpose of sports. It's an ethos piece, why we really show up. To watch character under pressure, the blending of physical, mental, and moral qualities that crowns champions in rings and in life. Training, clean living, progressive tests, the same ladder that makes a varsity man or a wrestling ace, also makes a decent adult. Page 35 returns to finish lines. More Sandwina, more Charlie White. Ferran allowing Teddy's future bears watching, while the lightweight essay underscores, one more time, that a boxer can lose glory by millimeters measured in thought. Page 36 changes register with a full-page health pitch. Have you these symptoms of nerve exhaustion? Selling Richard Blackstone's New Nerves for Old as the tonic path back to energy, sleep, and calm. Page 37 folds in more Risko aftermath. The Campolo and Paulino wins matter. The Griffiths' loss does not end the road, and spikes a coda on Freeman's new welter crown, urging quick, fair defenses and a speedy return match for the ex-champ. Page 38 strums a different string entirely. A male course to master Hawaiian guitar. Only 4 simple motions, with a genuine instrument included, and dreams of popularity baked right into the pitch. Page 39 ties up 2 long threads in scattered column ends. The Lewis feature, noting his new aviation hobby and dream of owning an airport, and the Goldfield epic, reminding us that Nelson never had a prayer on points. He only had hope in a miracle shot that never landed. Page 40 is pure merch. Attractive jewelry for fighters and fans, glove charms, medalettes, and the like, while a sidebar riff revisits the Suarez consular employee visa chatter that made his arrival feel half diplomatic, pouch, half title, raid. Page 41 gets strong with cable expanders, hand grips, wall exercisers, the full chest expander kit, and a continuation note that, again, Carnera's bulk without snap isn't the standard to chase. Page 42, a book bazaar anchored by Life is Movement, Sandow's big tome of 400-plus pages at a bargain price, flanked by Surin's Man in Sunlight, Hackenschmidt's Wrestling, and a grab bag of mail-order curios. Photographs, novelties, even eyebrow-raising sex books. Classifies that remind you how wild the back pages could be. Page 43 rolls out the Milo Barbell Company's 200-pound outfit, plates, bars, collars, wrench, and full illustrated courses, plus the price list that built 1,000 basement gyms. And page 44 closes with a locker room collage, elastic wrist bag, gloves, light, tight leather speed bags, a blunt, no-nonsense boxing course, and a sturdy athletic supporter with aluminum cup. Everything a 1930 striver needs to lace up, square up, and step forward. That's the book. Equal parts instruction, argument, memory, and want ad. A November where the flyweight crown waits to be unified. The strongest headlock in the world still squeezes headlines. A Cleveland Baker boy reminds everyone he isn't done. And the back pages whisper the same promise the front pages roar. Build yourself, test yourself, and then prove it under lights.